Chapter 24. Meanwhile, at school, it seemed that all everyone talked about was basketball game 10 days away. Are you going to play? Are you going to try out for captain? Who do you think will win? None of these teachers would say who was going to be on their basketball team. I guess they were trying to psych us out. We all agreed that Mr. Belloc, the computer lab teacher, was definitely playing because he was the youngest teacher and one of the few male teachers in the whole school. We also agreed that Mrs. Jurgensen, one of the 8th, 3rd grade teachers, would not be playing because she was almost 100 years old. Every time I heard someone ask, "Are you trying out for captain?" I nearly jumped out of my seat. Between keeping an eye out on Sloane's tricks and figuring out what I would do if I actually became captain, it was hard to focus on what was going on in class. The common denominator between 4/15 and 7/36. Having your cake and eating it too. Is that me? Defending the Chinese language? Or the one about the old man who loses his horse? Adam chimed in. That's like every cloud has a silver lining. Well, yeah, agreed Jessie, except in Chinese version, the silver lining might be made out of lead paint. By the time Chinese school was over, my brain was practically overflowing. Making the signs for next week, how many decent shooters are there going to be on the basketball team, what if I make captain and we lose? I nearly walked right past Harrison. He was hanging out by the trophy case, where we usually talked for a few minutes, or, as I called it, the best part of Chinese school. Lucy, Lucy, hey Lucy! Harrison was sticking his hand out in my face before I realized what he was doing. What? Oh, Harrison, hi. I stopped walking and turned around. For a moment I forgot to be nervous around him. So is it true? Asked Harrison. I heard you're going out for captain. Yeah, I guess, I said. Then suddenly I added, though I've been dealing with some folks who don't think short Chinese people should get too wrapped up in basketball. Harrison laughed. Like who? Harrison was definitely not short. I guess he was already as tall as Miss Phelps. I looked down, suddenly fascinated by the linoleum floor. That was stupid of me. Nothing could possibly come from bringing up Sloane. People, I said. For all I knew, Harrison liked her. I guess people have never heard of Willie Woo Woo Wong, then, said Harrison. Who? Harrison grinned. There's a park named after this guy in San Francisco, where I used to live. Willie Woo Woo Wong. He was short and Chinese. He played USF. You're totally making this up. But I knew he was telling the truth. I could tell. Look it up if you don't believe me. He was supposed to have a killer set shot. We reached the top of the stairway, and Harrison gave me one of those smiles, the ones where his one dimple comes out. I felt like I was the only person in the world. You just forgot one little problem, teased Harrison. What? The captain is going to be a boy, not some girl. Harrison! I gave him a playful shove. Big mistake. Boys, huh? Harrison didn't get to finish his sentence. His foot slipped off the top of the step. Harrison! I shrieked. I lunged forward and tried to grab his hand. Harrison grabbed for the railing, but his backpack yanked him off balance. He half stumbled, half tripped down the short flight of stairs, his legs twisting in completely unnatural directions. As quickly as it had started, Harrison was at the bottom of the stairs. I ran down the steps. Are you okay? I asked, trying to keep my voice from getting too shrieky. Harrison shook his head slowly. Can you do me a favor? Can you find my mom? Madison came over that afternoon so we could practice for the game. I told her the basics of what happened. Harrison's mom and Jing Lao-Shi ended up having to help Harrison leave the building. He said he couldn't put any weight on his right ankle, so he limped out between the two of them. I left out the part about the shove. and I tried not to sound like I was obsessing over it. Except I was. I had looked up his phone number in the school directory and had almost dialed it so many times that I had memorized his number. I didn't tell her how I apologized 100 times. Maybe he hated me. I tried to concentrate on shooting. It was great having a net on the new hoop. The ball dropped down straight instead of bouncing wildly off the driveway. We played one-on-one and then did free throws. I got 8 in a row. "How do you do that?" asked Madison. I shook my head. "I'm not sure. It's like I do better when I turn off my brain and let my body take over." "That doesn't make any sense." I tried to explain it. It's like walking, right? You just do it now. You don't think about it. If you thought too hard about it, how do I bend my knees? Where do I put my foot? You'd probably trip a lot more often than you just did. Whatever you're doing, just make sure you do it on Friday. Friday was 6 days away. Did Sloane have any more tricks up her sleeve? "Maybe Sloane will back off, now that she knows you won't quit," said Madison. It was as if she could read my mind. I muttered. "Fat chance." "Let's do 10 more, suggested Madison. "Then I've got to go." But talking about Sloane had unsettled my brain. My arms shook and the ball flew awkwardly through the air and bounced off the top of the backboard. "Our air ball!" I looked up. Willie Woo Woo Wong that night. Harrison was telling the truth. Willie Woo Woo Wong was 5'5" and was called the biggest little man in basketball. He was nicknamed Woo Woo because that's what the crowds used to yell at him when he played. Some people said that Willie Wong had the perfect set shot, and once he scored 65 points over 3 games during a tournament. Way to go, Harrison, I thought. Then, I hope you're okay.